Hello everyone, this is Serious Trivia, and today we're starting a new Let's Play campaign. We're starting this campaign for a couple of reasons. One, the current Liu Bei campaign is reaching the point where I sense it can be finished very soon. I will still be updating that regularly, possibly daily. So if you're a fan of that, please keep watching. Another reason why I'm starting this campaign is I want to make a difficulty jump. The Liu Bei campaign was set on hard and hard difficulty, and that was when I first was introduced to the game. Now that I had much more experience with the game from the Liu Bei campaign as well as other campaigns I've been playing that was not recorded, I feel confident to play a legendary campaign for you guys. Another reason why is the Blood DLC has come out, so this one will feature that DLC more prominently. And I just also really enjoy Cao Cao's campaign as the game. He is set up to be easy. My first few playthroughs with him was definitely not easy, but since then I have played Cao Cao probably the most out of all the factions and am most comfortable with him. And I think he is actually set up to be one of the easiest campaigns in the game, and I want to showcase that to all you guys, and especially those of you who are having trouble with him. A main difference between... Alright, let him talk.
汉统衰落，豪强并起。曹操目睹大权在匹夫手中几经交叠，思索出一条平乱治治之道。
Okay, that was a long bit. But yeah, as I was saying, main difference between this Let's Play and my other Let's Play on the channel, the Liu Bei one, is that I will try to keep this campaign, the episodes for these Let's Play, a much shorter length. I'm aiming for about 30 to 40 minutes. This means I'll be cutting out a lot more stuff and trying to be more concise with what I'm talking about. I feel it's fitting because at this point I feel like a lot of the gameplay mechanism has been discussed in my other Let's Play, so I can be more free to play the game and just share interesting points and not so obvious tricks and tips with you guys, and hopefully it'll make these Let's Plays much more watchable. With that said though, the first few turns are quite critical, so I won't be cutting most of those out. As a matter of fact, I plan on having this episode to just focus on turn 1 plays, because I feel turn 1, although it's the turn where you can do the least in the game, it's actually the turn that sets you up most in the game. Before we get started, I'll just quickly run through Cao Cao as a faction on this page, and then we'll jump into the game. Cao Cao is a commander. His stats, because minus 10% upkeep for cavalry and plus 15 military supplies per turn. This plus 50 military supply might seem useless, but it's actually amazing because if played right, you can have Cao Cao's army group to just stay inside enemy territory forever without losing any supplies. It's pretty critical when you want to do long sieges. His faction specialization uses a resource called credibility. Credibility increases every turn by default, and it goes from 0 to 100. Every 25 points can be used to influence diplomatic relations with another faction. So you can spend 25 points to make faction A to either like or dislike a faction B, and that faction B could be yourself. At every 75 points, you can use it to start a proxy war, basically asking a faction A to declare war on faction B, and depending on how much A likes B or think about B, the attitude change, the number that you can play around with in the negotiation will change. So you can use that to make to ignite a war between two factions who already don't like each other and make them pay you to do it. Or you can pay them to break up two friends. So it's quite an interesting tool. So his playstyle focus is diplomatic manipulation. His unique units are cavalry, shock cavalry unit. They're called the Tiger and Leopard Cavalry. There's a regular version and a heavy version. The heavy version is available for all generals level 6 or higher, and the regular version is for all generals level 3 or higher. These are pretty good. They're expensive. I'm not I mean, for late games, I'm definitely a fan of them, but for early game, I don't think we'll be utilizing them much just because of their cost. He has 2 unique building, one of which is for specialty counting. For those of you who want to find out more about how to use farm garrisons and Twin Tian conscription, you can check out my Chen commandery guide on the channel, which I talk about both of these building in great detail. You start out with 2 noteworthy characters. You start with Xia Dun and Xia Yuan. A little bit about lore, just a quick little lore, I guess. There's a lot of lore about Cao Cao. For those of you who watched the 2010 TV series on YouTube, you know it's very Cao Cao centric, so you probably know a lot more about him from that show already. But one thing to note is that Cao Cao's dad, Cao Song, who is actually an adopted son of a eunuch. Their grandpa, who they call Grandpa Cao Teng, actually is not their blood relative. He's a eunuch who did quite well in the capital, retired. The capital's right here. So he retired of old age, moved back to his hometown of Chen, and adopted Cao Song. And Cao Song, whose last name used to be Xiahou, changed his name to Cao. And Cao Song had a son named Cao Cao. So that's how he's related to Xia Dun and Xia Yuan. These 2 are actually blood relatives with Cao Cao and are his cousins. And Cao Ren is actually not as close in terms of being a relative with Cao Cao. So in terms of option, we're playing this on Legendary. We're still going to be using 40-minute battle timers. Sometimes I take the siege too slowly to do a 20-minute battle timer. And so far I haven't cheesed where I had to wait out the whole battle timer turns. So I don't think that's relevant. I could set it to 60 or no minute, but I would still like to have the option in long fights to be able to time it out as a defender. Okay, let's get started. Alrighty, we're at the start of the campaign. Establish your power. Lord Cao Cao, you have been casted out, branded enemy of the Empire. So basically we're on the run. The Han Empire has sent an army to attack us. They're right in front of us. Tells us to beware of Yuan Shu to the west and Tao Tian to the east. And we start out with the town of Chen. And our first mission, as always, is to destroy the army in front of us. So first order of business when you start the game is to check out what auxiliary items you got. We got 4. Okay, that's nice. We got a horse with cunning, a military G, okay, clay ox, and bodyguard. Okay, these are quite good. So we start with 2 generals in the army, Cao Cao and Xia Dun. Cao Cao has a good weapon. They all have unique armors. Cao Cao starts with the Shadow Runner horse, which is pretty amazing. We can give Cao Cao actually the herdsman. Just give him some stats, resolve to give some health. We will also be giving him the clay ox for now. Basically my usual plan is just to give out all the items a level 1. So Xia Dun has a heirloom spear to start the game. It's a higher tier than the military G that we got. It also does more damage, so we're going to keep it on him. Although this item does provide resolve, and this is more expertise and instinct focused, which is fine because those are all battle stats. Expertise, resolve, and instinct are all battle stats. Since we'll be using him in battle, this is a perfectly suitable weapon for him. The higher damage is worth a lot more than the 9 points in resolve, and the 9 points in instinct and expertise definitely makes up for that. We're going to be giving him a better horse for the charge damage. Because the early on fights, like the first 2 fights we have, we're going to be utilizing our generals quite a bit. At this point, most of you probably jump into the fighting. Don't do that, because once you fight and even if you lose 1 man, your military power will drop. and that influences how you can negotiate deals with your neighbors. So right now we have one neighbor we can trade with. It's Liu Dai. We're also very friendly with Yuan Shao. We have a non-aggression pact with him to start the game. With Liu Dai, he's our neighbor to the north. He's in the farmland of Yanchuan. I like to maintain good relationship with him and use him as a buffer between me and Yuan Shao. Early game, I like to expand south a little bit because A, the land's more lucrative, and 2, you're not going to be making enemies going that way. Going north will put you directly in the eyesights of Yuan Shao, and most likely spark a war between you two. So we want to make a trade deal. If you notice, there's a marriage possibility. They have a daughter who is very young and could be married to our dad, which makes no sense, and he's going to die very soon in the story. And Cao Ren, who makes sense. They also harmonize quite well. This is usually a marriage route I like to take, but I usually want to work on my relationship with Liu Dai first, to the point where he will offer me payment for that relationship. So here we are basically trying to maximize the amount of gold we can get from him on turn 1 by not losing any man in the fighting. I believe 47 is too much. Maybe 46. Oh, actually 45 is the maximum. Okay, then 45 it is. So this is 1.5. 3.2 of this is contributed by military strength and strategic situation. Unless you guarantee yourself not to lose any men in these 2 fights, it's better to just do the deal first.
你的提案不错。
Alright, and that also will improve our relationship by 10 points. It will trend upwards by 10 points. And we will also want to sign a non-aggression pact with him once that
很高兴见到足下。
attitude does change to 20. Because right now his opinion of the idea is still quite low, but once we become more friendly with him, it'll be a better deal for us. So now we have all the diplomatic stuff done. We can take this fight. Alright, we're just pretty standard level 1 fight, very small army group. We're just going to be utilizing our 2 generals. None of these units will be with us at turn 2. I am going to be disbanding all of them. The reason for that is I don't plan on fighting very much in the very beginning turns, so I'm going to save money and re-recruit them once we get a little bit more buffs going on too. I'll explain that when we do end our turn. As for now, let's fight this. Alright, for these fights, I'll be doing more cutting, just to keep the link down. I'll still explain how I set up. I'm not using anyone because I want to disband them after this turn, so all the experience are going to go to the generals. Since this is a Blood DLC campaign, I'll be more focused on the generals during the fights, so you guys can enjoy all the gore. Now, Cao Cao's horse is really fast, but we don't want him to be doing the dueling. We want Xiahou Dun to be doing the dueling, because champions are a little bit better at that. So we'll have him run straight and Cao Cao run to the side for now. Or actually, we can just have him reject all the duels. That way, Xiahou Dun gets the duel. Cao Cao job's pretty simple. Just go back and wreck the archer militia, and then start wrecking these saber militias. They don't have any counter charge mechanisms on their units. No spearmen. Alright, let's see if Xiahou Dun can dismount the guy. Oh, good job. See a little blood particle flying around. I am playing this on 100% blood particle and 30% blood stain. Or 33% blood stain, I think. The reason for that is I tried playing it on 50% blood stain, and my characters end up looking like vampire overlords. Let's use our ability. No point to hold back on it. See, Cao Cao here, even at 33, look at him. He's so bloody. But at 25, it's really little specks, really nothing. We're getting caught by these infantrymen. We'll actually pop this just so we get some melee evasion, so we don't get hit as much by the infantry. Let's run back. Oh, we missed the execution. Well, he didn't lose any limbs on this execution, it seems. Sorry about that. I'll try to make sure to be have my camera on dual when the execution does happen. I want to kill those guys. I don't want them to run away. There's no point to waste experience. Cao Cao's taking a lot of damage, but that's fine. We did a micro very well. Let's pop back out. Use the ability before we leave. Nice. Pop back out before we get damaged. Yes, you see 33% is still very bloody. Like, they are basically soaked in blood. Look at that. Especially the horses. Okay, they're coming. I'll back off a little bit. And then charge back. Cao Cao is just chasing down some last remaining guys. Perfect. Now he can rejoin the fight. Xiahou is doing great. Not getting caught. Alright, we routed both of them, I think. Xiahou can just route them. I guess we'll chase this guy down while he's routing so that he doesn't rally back. Despite us not focusing on the duel and taking care of Cao Cao the whole time, we still lost a lot of health on him. That's unfortunate. Yeah, so I'm probably gonna cut it here. You know the rest. I'm gonna just slowly kill these guys off. It'll just be all general action. This will be the same for the next fight, actually. I don't want to give away any of these precious experience to my units because I'm not keeping those units. I'll be rehiring those units. They both routed. Why has not the victory screen showed up? That's really weird. Oh, there we go. That's a huge delay. Okay. I'll see you guys on the post-battle screen. I'll finish up watching these guys kill off all the remaining troops. Okay, at least we got to see a beheading out here. Okay, so we're going to be taking the money. The damage on Cao Cao is not significant to use the replenishment. Early game, you want every bit of cash as possible. Alright, so next we want to attack the Chen livestock farm. We got experience for Cao Cao, so we are still having Cao Cao lead the army, even though eventually we want Xiahou to do it because he will have reach. He doesn't have reach right now because I want to get as much experience on Cao Cao as possible to level him up because I want to have the nobility skill at the end of this turn so that he can provide one additional assignments, which is what we really want out of this level 1. Let's just continue fighting at this point. Alright, Chen's livestock farm. This is a much tougher fight. We don't have trebuchets, they'll be staying in the back. We have to run towards them. The good news is livestock farms don't have any arrow towers, so we can just run up and let our generals do the job. I'll be cutting most of this battle out because, as you know, this is just going to be generals running around killing infantry. Not as exciting, so I'll come right back with the post-battle screen. Alright, we had Cao Cao and Xiahou murder everyone. Lost a bit of health doing it, but it's worth it. We'll be taking a break for a little bit. We'll definitely be occupying. Livestock farm are really, really good. No need to reduce their level. Okay, so we used up all our movement points. Our next mission is to construct or upgrade a building in Chen. And we get this key reward called your economy grows. We're going to be abusing this. This is another reason why we won't be using our army. We're going to be saving all our money to fully utilize these 3 turns. That's the goal here. Establishing order. We got more experience with Cao Cao to the point where he leveled up. That's what we really wanted to do. It was 16,000 to level up. He's at 18,000. So even if you switched over to Xiahou Dun, he probably would have still gotten enough experience. Xiahou Dun as your commander. Cao Cao probably still got enough experience to level up, which is fine. I just played it safe to make sure he gets this level. We'll be taking nobility to get the one available assignments. Flexibility is also really important to get the 25% redeployment costs, as well as the understanding, which +1 all rank for all recruits. Ideally, we're not going to level up enough to get understanding before we start recruiting troop, but in the future we'll be recruiting higher ranked troops because we will have understanding. Cao Cao won't be much of a fighting general, although this is a really strong ability. So we won't be trying to like maximize his skill for like making him efficient as a fighter, but more as make him as efficient in terms of a faction leader. So we're gonna be taking up nobility right now. Just a quick look, Cao Cao's ambitious. This doesn't penalize us because he is the faction leader, so desire for higher office and desire to gain independence as administrator both doesn't apply. So this is basically +8 authority. The 5 income from all sources administrator also doesn't apply here. Dutiful, same thing, it's only +8 authority. Suspicious is the 2 stats, but also you have the +10 undercover network cost for enemy spies. This is why when you play other faction and you put a spy in against Cao Cao, it's actually very hard to utilize his abilities because you have to pay 10 extra network cost. Let's look at our characters that are not in our army. Lady Bian Furen here is our wife. She is commander as well. We'll be making her our heir right here on this turn, because given the current situation, she is clerk rank. She's gonna slowly develop to be unhappy with us over time. Despite being part of the ruling family, you notice here it's not that skill is that like bonus in terms of positive factor is not in reflected in her satisfaction, so she actually gets unhappy with you quite easily. She's also has suspicious, scholarly, and distinguished, so you can't really it's not anything that boosts satisfaction. So the best way to deal with Lady Bian is actually on turn 1, instead of having baby Cao Pi, who's 3-year-old, that means you have to wait 15 years or 75 turns for him to start using his skills to buff your entire faction. So we're gonna have the mom take over and make her the heir. This is a free move. And you also want to make commanders your heir, because commander has a lot of good skills that is reflected when they're your heir. So she's heir. Cao Ang and Cao Pi can both just be kids for now. So the direct effect is she will be satisfied with us going forward. And right now she doesn't have any skills that act as buffs, but you see here when she levels up for dignity, +5 faction support, flexibility we just talked about, nobility we just talked about, understanding we just talked about. All of these are very useful skills. Also now we can just abuse her as an assignment. She provides 50% peasantry income. If you check out the Chen commander guide, you know that Chen is a very peasantry heavy city commander, so we'll be using this all the time. We'll also be putting Cao Ren in for the supervised construction, since we're in the building phase of the commandery. Here we'll be going with the tax collection building. If you guys want to know how to build Chen, please just check out the guide. I'll save some time here and just build it accordingly. So now we're at the end turn phase, and at the end of this episode, all you're going to do is destroy all these beautiful units. The heavy tiger and leopard cavalry, very, very expensive faction unit. 261 upkeep a turn. Costs like 5,000 to build this unit, to recruit him. But we'll still be saying goodbye to him. We'll be saying goodbye to all our units, because we are not going to be doing any more fighting for the next at least 4 or 5 turns. We'll be probably fast forwarding a lot of those turns in terms of let's play, but right now we're just happy to have this army. We'll have Xiahou Dun lead the army now, and we're going to be sitting pretty in Chen and recovering, and we'll be focusing on in 2 turns to pop open that economy reward, where every building is 1 less turn to construct and 20% less to build, and that compounds with the 10% and -1 turn here to make it super efficient as we build up Chen. So we'll come back with that next time. Hope y'all enjoyed this much more condensed version of a Let's Play. Hopefully equally informative and equally entertaining. So see you next time. Bye.